Well, good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Scott Kayser. I am a candidate for the Republican State Central Committee in the 18th Senate District. It is all of Portage County, most of Geauga County, which is where I'm from, and about half of Lake County. A little bit about myself. I graduated from Miami University in 2005 with a degree in political science and history. I actually began my political activism in conservative Republican politics my freshman year in 2001. Haven't stopped since. From college, I graduated. I moved up to Concord Township in Lake County, worked for a congressional campaign for Steve LaTourette. 2006 didn't go our way in most of the races, so ended up seeing the writing on the wall, saw where Ted Strickland was going to take this state, and like many other youth, my wife and I had to relocate. So we went to Kentucky, worked for a political communications firm for 5 years, working on local, state, and federal issues, government relations, and issue advocacy for everything from local nonprofits to Fortune 100 companies. One of our biggest clients was an energy company that represented coal manufacturers, and we spent most of our time, which was a full-time job, fighting President Obama's EPA mandates. Sadly, we're still fighting those fights, so it seems that he's pretty intent on destroying our energy economy. During that time, I was blessed to have a candidate that I truly believe in appear on the scene in 2010 in the primary. His name was Rand Paul. Spent all my time doing everything I could to get him elected, and I still support him to this day, and I hope that he has what it takes to pull it out in the presidential primary. Hopefully we'll see, no offense to the Trump folks, that in Iowa he will have a groundswell of support and he'll come out stronger, and I'm still idealistic about that. But following that, I had the opportunity in 2012 to move back home. There was, due to redistricting, a very unique race that shaped up in Northeast Ohio. Two incumbents were drawn into the same district, Congressman Jim Renacci and Congresswoman Betty Sutton. I came back to work on Congressman Renacci's campaign, and we ended up being very successful and having quite a bit of fun with that race because, no offense, but Betty was a very interesting opponent to run against. So I'm at least glad you got out before we left you unemployed. Following that, I went to work for the Ohio Republican Party. Now, like you, I consider that a disqualifying characteristic for this position, but I want to tell you why that's not the case with me. When I worked for the party, I realized that we have systemic issues. The way the party's conducted itself over the last few years has frustrated me as much as it's probably frustrated you. We don't allow dissent, we don't allow debate, we don't let candidates run and compete in the market of ideas. We go around kicking people off the ballot because you didn't staple your ballots together or you didn't date that right. And I don't operate like that. I think that if you truly believe in your convictions, you should defend them in the public sphere and let everyone compete. The more the merrier. Another issue we have at the party is our finances. For several years, we have not had a financial filing that has not had issues from the FEC and from the Secretary of State. We're constantly amending our filings. No one knows what's coming in. No one knows what's going out. And if we don't know where the money's coming and where the money's going, we can't hold them accountable. So we have to get our finances in order to stop some of the shenanigans in Columbus, and I am very committed to doing that. In addition to that, you know, the party doesn't pay a lot of attention to us up here. This is the blue corner of the state. Oh, sorry, this is the blue corner of the state. Is that better? Better? Sorry, I thought I yelled loud enough. My wife always tells me I'm too loud. But you know, being up here in the blue corner of the state, they do ignore us. They only come up to campaign occasionally during election years, and if they do, it's usually down in Kent or up in Cuyahoga County. They don't pay a lot of attention to us over here. So my goal is to get our candidates and our elected officials up here to actually come out and meet you, talk to you, learn what your issues are, figure out what matters to you, figure out if they're doing the right job or not. My goal is to hold us all accountable because as a party, we need that in order to succeed and grow. In addition to that, you know, Medicaid expansion was a big issue. When I worked for the party, I was fairly vocal in my opposition to that. When it went through the controlling board, that's when I started looking for another job. And in August, I left the party and I went back to the private sector, and I now work in wireless real estate, representing companies like Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, working on government relations and local zoning issues with them. So it is frustrating to see where our party has gone, but I do think that we are capable of taking it back, and I do think that I am uniquely equipped to do that. I have flyers over there. They list some of my campaign experience. Yes, I am fairly establishment, but I also am fairly liberty-minded. I have a lot of issues with the way the party's been run, and quite frankly, I think we need to get back to our constitutional principles. A little bit about my beliefs on the issues. I am staunchly pro-life. I believe life begins at conception, and any effort to end that life from that point on is unconscionable and immoral. As a party, we should stand up and vigorously defend that life. I am pro-Second Amendment. I think the only license you need is the Second Amendment. It's right there, shall not be infringed. I don't think that we need any more impediments to that. We live in a dangerous world. We should be able to defend ourselves. And I believe in states' rights. You know, the government should not be doing anything that is not explicitly listed in the Constitution. Instead, we have a Congress and a government and a Supreme Court that have taken the Commerce Clause, the 14th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, and found all these new rights and all these new reasons to spend our money and give us absolutely no input in it. I think we need to get back to our constitutional governments and restore governments to the local level, to the state level, where we actually have control and we have input and we have control over our own destiny. So that's a little bit about myself. I do live in Bainbridge Township in Geauga County with my wife, Sarah LaTourette. She is our state representative in Geauga County. I hope you all have looked into her record and realized that we are not just Republicans in name only. We are very committed to the principles of limited governance. And I hope you'll look into my candidacy. My contact information is on my flyer. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and I hope you'll consider supporting me on March 15th. You know, Greg's a great guy, even though he always makes me feel underdressed, but we agree on a lot of things, and I think you'll realize that. The only difference is I've worked for the party, and I've, for lack of a better term, seen where the bodies are buried, and I know what needs to be done to fix our party, and I plan on going down and being a very vocal advocate on our behalf. So I hope you'll consider supporting me. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by. Thank you very much.